Hello, Gemini, and welcome to my channel, Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs, looking at your connection to the person that you are dealing with and needing to learn the most from right now. We are looking at all three sides of the connection. We've got your energy toward it, their energy toward it, and the energy in between it, the concept being that there are three sides to every story. So we're looking at your version of the truth, their version of the truth, and this higher level unbiased truth in the middle, really looking at what is the deeper purpose of this connection and what is the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. As always, I've gone ahead and pulled the overall energy for the reading and clarified those messages as well as the overall theme for the reading, which we'll jump into in just a second. But I do have a different tarot deck for each side of this connection that we'll be using, as well as this advice deck that I'll be using in the extended. Any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading with me is in the description box below. Last thing, please remember that these are general readings. They are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So do please remember to take what does resonate and helps your personal situation and leave what does not. On that note, these energies can be swapped. So if you resonate more with the energy to my right than to my left, or if you're a cross watcher then vice versa, just know that's totally fine and totally normal. So the whole reading can be reversed. Again, the point is to take what helps your situation and leave what doesn't. All right, Gemini, on your side of this connection, you have allow for time and space with the Ace of Wands in reverse. I feel like this connection isn't in the best place right now. I don't necessarily know if there is like full-on separation or like what's really going on, but I do feel like right now is not a time to take action, especially with the Ace of Wands in reverse. Right now is a time to allow for time and space, because I feel like there's like more, you need more clarity before approaching this. Even if there is like isn't separation, or if there's like an argument, I don't know. I feel like there's this need to like, you know, the worst thing that we can ever do for ourselves or for our connections or just in general is to react when we're in a super heightened emotional state. Learning to create space between yourself and the situation so that you can gain more awareness, or like the overall energy for the reading is knowledge. Like maybe gain more knowledge, or, you know, get more insight on the situation before you respond can definitely help. And I feel like that's what is really necessary right now. Like if there is space in between this connection, it's happening for a reason. This person has miscommunication with the Page of Pentacles in reverse. I don't feel like this person is in a place right now where they're capable of communicating. So that's why I feel like no matter what you do, like if you try to communicate, but someone else isn't in a space to be willing to or able to communicate, then it's not communication. It'll typically kind of spiral into something more. So I feel like that's really like it's interesting, because this feels a little bit more specific in terms of like what's going on with this connection right now than I typically get in my readings. But I definitely feel like this person struggles with communication, which is why right now is not, I don't necessarily know if, I mean, communication is always good, but there's definitely the need for distance right now before communication, like productive communication can be happening. You have to remember that like speaking to one another isn't communicating. Especially like arguing, very few times is arguing actually communicating. Communicating is saying, this is how I was affected, you know, this is how this is what I need out of this situation, and then being open to listening to the other person's side of you. It's not just about being able to speak your side, it's about being able to be open and not be defensive as well. So I don't know, there's something going on here with communication, because in between this connection you have unlocked potentials with the Four of Wands in reverse. So there's definitely potential in this connection, but right now the connection isn't really on solid ground to build on, which is why I feel like, I don't know, and maybe this is a pattern in this connection. Like, I don't know, but there's something you need to know. So a lot going on. We're just going to see where this takes us. All right, Gemini. Card didn't come with us. Let's start by looking at your side of the connection. You have allow for time and space with the Ace of Wands in reverse. This is for Gemini's side of the connection to the person they are dealing with. This is for Gemini's side of this connection. I want it to turn all the way around or hit the table. Okay, yeah, so you're burnout. You're tired of how things have been. So this definitely feels like a pattern. Like, I don't know if it's just like miscommunication or arguments, or the way this person communicates with you, like the way that the things that they say to you and the way that it affects you. You're pretty burnt out. Your soul is pretty drained by this. Like, this connection is affecting you on a pretty deep level with the Nine of Cups in reverse. Which is why I feel like right now is not the time to engage in some reason. Because, well, let me just get more. I'm honestly a little confused. This is for Gemini's side of the connection to the person they are dealing with. Gemini's side of the connection to the person they are dealing with. This is for Gemini's side of this connection. Oh, yeah. Because you've been very patient with this person. You've been very patient. You've tried to be very understanding, very empathetic, but it's gotten to the point with, so Empress in reverse, 10 of Wands, and the Temperance, it's gotten to the point where, like, you're starting to sacrifice your mental and emotional well-being for the sake of the connection. Because with the 10 of Wands, this has become heavy. It's become hard for you to bear this because of how this person communicates. Or, like, how they treat you. Yeah, because there's the King of Cups in reverse. I mean, that is, like, borderline emotional abuse. Gaslighting, manipulation. Yeah, it's like you've tried to be very patient, very understanding, but then, like, it's become heavy. It's become hard for you to bear. Yeah, because there's the Page of Pentacles in reverse. That same, like, to me, this can be like an immature energy. It's like this immaturity in the way that they act in this connection, specifically when it comes to their communication. Gemini's energy toward the person they are dealing with. So this has started, like, affecting your mental and emotional well-being. Gemini's side of the connection to the person they are dealing with. This is really a trust the process kind of reading for me, because things seemed a little confusing for me in the original reading. Okay, or in the overall energy. So, ooh. Judgment in reverse, Sun in reverse. Ah, okay. Judgment in reverse with the Sun in reverse. This is the message I want to focus on, because there's a lot here. The Judgment in reverse is the need to see the truth behind, the circumstances. Get to the root of what's really going on. Also can mean, for me, taking off rose-colored glasses. So seeing things through the lens of truth instead of the lens of how you want things to be or how you wish that they were. Now, you're not happy with how things are in this, with the Sun in reverse. You're not happy with this connection. But seeing this unlocked potentials here in the middle, I feel like you very much see the potential of what this could be. And I feel like that potential is why you've put so much into this. Because you've poured, like, your heart and soul into this, especially with the Four of Swords in reverse. Like, to the extent where you are, like, emotionally, spiritually drained because of this connection and how things have affected you, which is why I almost feel like there's this need to allow for time and space, because the more that you give, the more drained you become, and the more it affects you, and it's like that continues. And so there's this need to just kind of, like, be like, okay, before I do anything, before I make any decisions, or, like, before I move forward with this, like, I need clarity. Like, distance. So yeah, there's this need for distance here. And I ultimately feel like that's because you've got to get really clear on your side of things here. I feel like you've just been kind of, like, I don't necessarily know if it's, like, going through the motions or just, like, doing what you can or showing up in this the best you can or whatever the case is, but things aren't changing. Things aren't happening. You're still being drained. You're still unhappy. I mean, seeing the Four of Swords in reverse, the Empress in reverse, and the Sun in reverse, like, this is a drained energy. This is like a spiritually, emotionally drained energy. And I'm not going to say it's because of the connection. Like, I don't think that one person is ever responsible. But I definitely think that this connection has added to that emotional and spiritual draining that you're experiencing. Gemini side of the connection to the person they are dealing with. So what do you need to know? What is this knowledge? Gemini side of the connection to the person they are dealing with. This is for Gemini side of this connection. I like the way this message is coming through. Just like the way it was presented. Queen of Pentacles in reverse, King of Pentacles, the Devil. So the Devil lies in between this connection. There's a devil in between the connection. Now, you're showing up as the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. They're showing up as the King of Pentacles. You could be dealing with an Earth sign, but I really see this. I see this basically saying, like, you're sacrificing your stability for the sake of their stability. Like, you're in this connection, it's been required for you to feel unsecure, insecure, whatever the case is, for their security. Now, you, especially since we already kind of saw emotional abuse, you could be, or emotional manipulation. Abuse is such a strong word, but it definitely could be that. I'm not here to diagnose or tell you what's happening. You know what's happening in your life, but it's almost like, you know, when you're dealing with those people that struggle with themselves inside, that struggle with their own sense of security, so they have to make everyone around them feel insecure, like put other people down or make other people feel less than what they are so that they feel better about themselves. Kind of the vibe that I'm getting from what's going on here. Because it's almost like your stability has to be sacrificed for the sake of theirs. Your security almost, too. So I'm not quite sure, but I definitely feel like, I don't know, I feel like there's more to this than you're able to see. I don't know. Gemini side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. And whether you're male or female, it doesn't matter. Gemini side of the connection to the person they are dealing with. Gemini side of this connection, so the devil, but the devil is responsible. That's what's so interesting. Yeah. See, you're getting the short end of the stick here. Now, okay. You're not communicating either. Now, there's a reason for that. Maybe you've learned that it doesn't really matter, because again, it kind of feels like this person isn't capable of communication. So when we try to communicate with people who are not capable of communicating, it doesn't really get us anywhere. It can sometimes feel like you're like talking to a brick wall. You know, you try to be vulnerable, you try to explain how you're feeling, and the other person gets defensive, or they refuse to see your side, or refuse to have empathy, or whatever the case is. You cannot communicate with someone who isn't willing to communicate. And maybe that's why you haven't communicated. But you're certainly not speaking up much for yourself with where things are at right now. You might be like I just don't feel like there's much like advocating for yourself. But again, it could be because you've learned that to keep the peace, it's just better to not. But that isn't good. That's not healthy. I mean, that's why you're so drained on like a deep level. Gemini side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. Gemini side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. That makes so much sense. So there's the devil, right? You know, I said the devil was in between this connection. There's the Four of Wands in reverse. Same Four of Wands in reverse is right here, clarified by the devil. We saw that the devil was blocking the connection. The devil was blocking the connection. The devil is the reason for the lack of foundation, which is why this potential hasn't been able to be reached. You're stuck in a cycle. This devil is creating a cycle. I don't know what this devil is. It could be anything. Mental health, addiction, codependency, just attachment in some way, an unhealthy attachment to something or even to each other. But there's a devil keeping you in a cycle. I feel like this is, okay. The way this is getting broken down is really interesting, like how the messages are coming through. It doesn't feel like my readings normally do. Right, this person's energy toward Gemini. Miscommunication with the Page of Pentacles in reverse. This person's energy toward Gemini. One more. This person's energy toward Gemini. This person's energy toward Gemini, please. Ha. Okay. There's the Ace of Wands in reverse. Eight of Swords, Emperor in reverse. So this person is trapped in their own limiting beliefs when it comes to like love and how relationships work. With the Emperor in reverse, they have this need for control in their connections, wherever that stems from, because they think they have to protect themselves from love. They think that all relationships end in pain, so they don't want to be vulnerable. So the way that they, handle that is through control. Now, this control is why they don't know how to communicate, because if you're trying to control a conversation, you're not communicating. Because communicating is the complete lack of control. It's being vulnerable, being willing to listen, being willing to understand, without being able to control the outcome. And so that's why right now it kind of feels like, I don't want to say there's nothing you can do. You're, like, oh, you're stuck in there, so there's nothing you can do. But I really don't know if there's anything you can do to make them see what you want them to see, because we can't make people see what they're unwilling to see, because this person has this need for control, right? Like they have this need to, and that's typically where manipulation comes from. And kind of what I was talking about, how like if someone doesn't feel secure, if they struggle with feeling lovable, or if they struggle with vulnerability or whatever the case is, they're going to do whatever they can to pull other people down or to control the people around them so that they don't have to face any of those uncomfortable emotions. It's absolutely what's happening here. This person is trying to maintain control, and that specifically comes out in the way that they speak to you. So they might be really believable or really good with words, or just like really good at arguing or something, and maybe that's why you've stopped communicating your needs, or like don't feel safe to do that, is because you're like, well, every time I do, this person just puts me down, or they invalidate me, or they blame it on me, or whatever the case is, which that right there is emotional abuse. This person's energy toward Gemini, something to be aware of. I mean, there's different levels of abuse. Again, abuse is such a strong word, but anyone who refuses to take responsibility or accountability and always blames the problems that you have in the relationship on you doesn't have your best interest in mind. All right, this person's energy toward Gemini. I don't think this is a bad person. I think this person is extremely hurt. Yeah. See, they do have love for you. I knew it was going to come out somewhere. They do have love for you, absolutely. But they have no freaking idea what they want. Or even if they do know what they want, they don't have any idea how to obtain that. They're kind of burnt out with the way that things are too. But that's what's so interesting. They have love for this. But yet, here's what I think it is. I mean, if I'm going to break this down like the simplest dynamic, you have issues in this connection with the way that this person treats you. You know, in the beginning you spoke up, or there's always arguments that arise or problems that arise because of this person's actions or inactions or behavior. You try to hold them accountable, they refuse to take accountability, and they become stressed out that you're forcing them to take accountability. So in their mind, they're like, I really love this person, but man, they really require me to have to face myself and take accountability for my actions. I don't really like that. So I don't really know, you know, and it's not, I mean, that's all of them, right? Anyone who's unwilling to take accountability is not willing to grow. And anyone who's not willing to grow isn't going to be capable of a sustainable relationship for the long term. So regardless of how much potential lies in the connection, if there is a complete lack of foundation of trust and respect and communication, the connection is not going to work. It's not going to last. It's going to end up doing more harm than good. And so I feel like that's why, maybe that's already happened. I feel like that's why things are so, like why you're so drained is you see this potential and you've been doing the best you can. And a big part of it is needing this person to take accountability for their side of things, right? Because I believe and will continue to say that any two individuals can make a connection work as long as both people are willing to do the work to make it happen, both individually and on the connection as a whole. And if this person isn't even willing to take accountability for the ways that they act or the ways that they treat you, then that's on them. And there's, you know, we can try to like shame people into taking accountability, or push people into seeing that the way that they hurt us, or prove how people have hurt us to ourselves. But the thing is, there is nothing we can do to make anybody see the accountability that they are unwilling to see. And sometimes it can feel like they don't value us, but at the end of the day, they don't value their own self. And that somebody else's lack of accountability is not a reflection of your value or your or the validity of your pain or your experience in the situation. It is literally just their lack of accountability, which can be frustrating, but we can't control that. We have to learn to make our decisions based on what information people give us. And I feel like that's kind of the knowledge here that you're needing to see, is like this person is showing you who they are. They're showing you their true colors. You see their potential, sure. You see what this connection could be, sure. But they're showing you time and time again who they are and what they're capable of. You now need to base your decision off of what the knowledge, like the facts, not the imaginary potential that you see. Seeing the good in people is absolutely good. But like we saw with the judgment in reverse, seeing the good in someone to the extent where we refuse to see the truth is where the situation gets a little sticky. This person's energy toward Gemini. This person's energy toward Gemini, please. Oh, goodness. Wait, that fell off here. There we go. This person's energy toward Gemini. More. This person's energy toward Gemini. Everybody deserves, this is just a message that I wanted to say, and then I'll read this message. Everybody deserves a second chance, a first chance, sure. Everyone deserves a chance, everyone deserves a second chance. But when you start handing out third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh chances, 12th, a millionth chances, you're caught in a pattern. And there's more that needs to be addressed in that than you might be willing to see. And that's a big thing here. You are definitely caught in a pattern and in a cycle with this person. Now, okay. Queen of Wands in reverse with the Queen of Cups in reverse. How do I put that? This person, for someone who really wants to maintain control, they have almost no control over themselves. Which is actually typically the case. When people feel out of control themselves, they're going to do whatever they can to control everything and everyone else around them. So I feel as if this person, like, it's like their actions and their emotions are very out of their control. So they react rather than respond. So when they feel triggered, when they feel cornered, when they feel like they don't have control over the situation, they're going to get very reactive. And that reactiveness directly starts to impact you because you're going to obviously take the things that they say and do very personally. But what you have to understand is that the way that they act in this connection and the way that they speak to you and the way that they handle things in this connection, the way that they treat you, their relationship with you is a direct reflection of their relationship with themselves. People speak to you the way that they speak to themselves. That is one of the best things I ever learned on this journey, is that when someone is being unkind, it's, the best way to be able to get yourself through that situation is to be able to, first and foremost, direct kindness back to yourself, and second of all, give empathy and say, I'm sorry that that person talks to themselves that way. I'm sorry that that's how this person feels about themselves. Because I definitely feel as if their reactiveness and their inability to be vulnerable, to open up, to be honest, to have a healthy relationship is a direct reflection of where they're at, right, in their spiritual, emotional journey. And that has nothing to do with you. Does it affect you? Hell yeah, it does. But there's a bigger lesson for you on your side of things, right? Such as, why do you believe that you have to sacrifice your emotional and mental well-being for the sake of love, right? Where does that stem from? There's always a lesson and a reflection there. But this person and the way that they act in this connection, the biggest thing that I want you to take from this, especially if you do feel you are dealing with abuse, is try your hardest not to take it personally. And trust me, I know how naive that can sound, but seriously, the way that people treat you is a reflection of them. It's a reflection of what's going on with them. This person and the way that they handle situations is what's going on with them, which is why I have a lot of empathy for this person, because to be completely honest with you, I used to be this person. I used to be the person that was very reactive, who when I felt out of control, I did whatever I could to gain control, and I would do it in not the best ways. Now, I've also been on this side of this situation too, so trust me, I've learned what I needed to. But that's why I do all three sides of this, is because I definitely understand what it's like to be in this place. I think that, people who are struggling in the way of feeling unlovable and therefore reflecting that in their connections, they deserve love, absolutely. But unconditional love and empathy does not equal unconditional tolerance. Just loving and understanding why someone is the way that they are does not mean that we have to tolerate their behavior. And I feel like that's a really big lesson that's needing to come through for you. All right, this person's energy toward Gemini. That was kind of a long lesson, or a long message, but this person's energy toward Gemini. I feel like you give them, because this is like what they give. They give the Seven of Swords. So it's like you give them vulnerability and honesty, and they give you deception. They give you the Seven of Swords. They give you lies and manipulation. And I feel like that's why right now, like, there's nothing you can do. Like, there's no amount of communication that you can give to this person, because all they're going to meet you with is the Seven of Swords. Whatever they will need to do to regain control of the situation is where their priority is going to lie. Which is why right now, this connection is, first of all, not in a healthy place for sustainable long-term connection, and definitely not in a healthy place for any form of communication. Which the latter is the reason for the former. And I feel like that's why, and that can be so frustrating when you're dealing with someone. Trust me, I know how frustrating that can be. But we cannot take on the responsibility of how someone else is acting, because we cannot control other people. We can't control what they do. We can't control what they say. What we can control is what we do with the knowledge, with the information that they give us. And this person has given you plenty of information on what it is that you need to do, which is why there's no need for reacting from you right now, but definitely more of needing to heal and gain clarity before moving forward in any way. This person's energy toward Gemini. This person's energy toward Gemini. I want it to turn all the way around or hit the table. Yeah, this person has frustrating energy. I get it. Okay, so, like, no wonder you're drained. They're not a bad person. I don't think that they're doing the best that they know how, which unfortunately is this energy, but they're prioritizing something that is not, I don't know if it's like a third party, and that doesn't necessarily need to be another person. It could be like work or video games. I don't know. It could be anything. But it's like they're prioritizing what doesn't help the connection. Like something, and I feel like it's this devil in a way, because there's this devil in between, right? The biggest thing, because there's that Page of Pentacles again in reverse, and then coupled with the Seven of Wands in reverse, is they're going to act however they can get away with. That is the fact of the matter. I think a lot of times we look at how people treat us and we go, I would never do that. Like, I don't understand why this person is doing this to me. I would never do that. Although there are mirrors in regard to you and this person, you are still completely different people with different traumas, different past, different triggers, and different ways of handling those triggers. And that's why we cannot take personally how other people treat us, is because it's what's going on with them. Now, I feel like one of the biggest things I am gathering in this is that they're going to push your boundaries as far as they can. That is what is coming through. And it's actually with this miscommunication card, came overstepped boundaries. So that actually makes sense. I feel like they're going to push your boundaries as far as they can. Which is why you have to do what you need to do to stand up for yourself in whatever way that means. And I honestly feel what that is distance. I feel like distance is like absolutely necessary, because this connection is draining your soul. This connection has drained your soul. You're wanting this person to change. You've wanted this person to change for a while. They continue to show up in this connection in the same way. You know, this person has showed you. They've basically written a book and said, this is how I'm going to treat you. This is what I'm capable of. This is how this connection is going to go from this point forward. Hand delivered it to you. You now know exactly how things are in this connection, and you have to make you can't control this person, you can't control what you do, but you have to make your decision accordingly. This person's energy towards Gemini. This person's energy toward Gemini, please. This person has unrealistic expectations when it comes to relationships. I feel like they want what they can control. And I feel like that's why, like, you've pushed back. You know, you've pushed back. You've said, I'm not going to allow that. Or at least you did in the beginning. You've tried to push back. And I feel like that's why this person is like, doesn't know what they want. Because it's like they want this connection. They have love for this connection. But this connection pushes them out of their comfort zone. They don't like that. They have these unrealistic expectations when it comes to their relationship. So they're going to choose what they can control. So if they can't control this connection, they're going to look for what they can control. And that right there is like 7 billion red flags into one. So keeping that in mind. Okay, Gemini, that was intense. We're going to hop on over to the extended. You have unlocked potentials with the 4 of Wands in reverse. I'm going to pull 9 different messages, and then I have an advice card to pull for you at the very end. Thank you, Gemini. So this middle section is looking at the deeper purpose of this connection and the best way to move forward in alignment with your higher self. So thank you, Gemini. As always, I'm very appreciative of your support of my channel, and I wish you absolutely nothing but love and healing on your journey moving forward. All right, bye, Gemini.